You're probably using items wrong. Let me explain. Items come in three varieties in Deadlock: killing people over time, killing people quickly, and I don't want to die. Among these broad categories, there exists three more types of items: the completely passive items, the semi-active items, and the fully active items. Here I want to focus on the middle category, as it's what separates the good from the bad when you want to rank up. If you only take one thing away from this video, let it be this: use your semi-active items off of cooldown. So what does this mean in practice? We're going to simplify this down to a complete 1v1, with both players being perfectly accurate. We're not worried about minions, abilities, towers, or anything else. We'll load in with a clean 1000 health, and we'll say these hypothetical guns do 50 DPS. We'll let McGinnis be our stand-in for a newer player, and she's only going to be buying passive items, while Victor will be showing why that's not such a great idea. Extended Magazine is an orange item that gives a flat 6% weapon damage passively, plus the additional 7% just for having the item, but trust me, that cancels out here. Headshot Booster, on the other hand, gives a small health bonus, but the real reason you buy it is the extra 45 headshot damage on a 9-second cooldown. So how do we expect this to play out? As a final piece of setup, I'm going to add a timer. It'll track seconds so cooldown stays somewhat accurate, but it's much easier to think of these as server ticks rather than real-world seconds, as we'll be speeding things up a little bit later.
Ready? Go!
Okay, I'm not going to make you listen to McGinnis empty a full clip. I really have enough PTSD from that already. But even though McGinnis has the higher DPS on paper, Victor still wins, simply by using Headshot Booster to its maximum potential. You can probably see where I'm going with this, but let's look at one more example. One where Victor is just a tad less diligent with proccing Headshot Booster, and maybe we'll say misses a few more shots. This version of the fight starts exactly the same, with Victor hitting an initial burst of damage from Headshot Booster, and seemingly far in the lead. But without additional procs, the small but constant 3 DPS difference in their damage makes up for the initial health lost, leading to both players actually dying simultaneously. Now, there's an inherent problem here. Deadlock is a massively complex game, so trying to factor in all the variables that decide what items to buy and when would just be a slow descent into madness. Instead, I want to focus on some common vitality items that are listed in build after build after build that I see people buy and use incorrectly, or they're just slept on entirely. Two of the most common green items picked up in the laning phase are Extra Regen and Healing Right, both of which heal over time, but at very different rates and are used for slightly different purposes. Extra Regen gives a simple 3 health regeneration forever. Whether you pay attention to it or not, this item will always do its job until you eventually sell it. Healing Right, on the other hand, gives a massive heal over 20 seconds, technically 15 health per second if you use it fully. However, it does come with downsides. It can be cancelled, meaning if you're shot any time during the 20-second channel, the remainder of the heal will be stopped and the item will go on cooldown. Also, speaking of that cooldown, if we factor it into the overall healing per second, we see that Extra Regen and Healing Right are essentially the same item, but in Healing Right's case, the benefits are front-loaded, with more risk as you may not receive the full heal. But let's be honest, that's not really the full picture. There are 2 more lines of text on each item that I didn't mention. Extra Regen gives an additional heal if you're out of combat, and Healing Right gives additional sprint speed while in use. All of this together means that Extra Regen is the safe, passive, brain-off option, one that will always heal regardless of skill level or circumstances within the game, and is usually geared more towards newer players or harder lanes. Healing Right is aimed at players that will use items off of cooldown, maximizing each and every benefit they can. Alright, we're going to look at one final animated example of the differences between these two items and why cooldowns are so important. But first, you get to watch this sick double kill that I totally earned and deserved, in which I got my ult and used it from the souls on the kill and lash. You can rewind to see it get leveled in real time. It's kind of neat, honestly. Alright, let's get through this final setup quickly. Here we're only going to look at one character but 2 health bars, one where we buy Extra Regen and another where we buy Healing Right. We're going to set ourselves to half HP and look at the health gained after the first 20 seconds. This goes about as expected. Healing Right is a much better, faster heal. The speed in which it gives health is its major upside, as it allows you to quickly top up your health after a bad trade or a losing engagement, and gets you ready for another chance at fighting, at the cost of 800 souls. But what happens after these first 20 seconds is what I really want to focus on. Slowly but surely, as Healing Right is on cooldown, extra regen makes up the difference in HP. Remember, during this time, Healing Right is essentially dead weight, it only fills up an item slot. This isn't to say extra regen is strictly better than Healing Right. Both items have their upsides. I just want to draw attention to the fact that even if Healing Right is used off of cooldown, both items function essentially the same with regards to HP gain. However, if Healing Right is used sparsely, or only once, extra regen far outperforms as a simple, brainless source of healing throughout the entire game. So what was the point of all of this? We've ignored abilities, ability cooldowns, positioning, wave management, boxes, buffs, guns, healing troopers, ammo, reloads, fire rate, neutral camps, buff spawns, ability synergy, dual lane dynamics. I could keep going on. Look, Deadlock is an immensely complicated game, but it's one that I enjoy quite a bit. If this video can help anyone itemize a bit better, then that's all I really care about. For now, take this information with a grain of salt and try not to lose to Shopkeep.